Hari Om.
Thank you for the warm welcome and all your kind words. And I'm so happy to see all my satsanga friends around for the lecture today. And thank you for this uh, unique opportunity because the topic today is not much spoken in the Vedantic classes and circles. And I myself don't know why this topic has come into my mind. And this is what I wanted to talk today. Today also happens to be a Purnima, that is a full moon day. And usually Satyanarayana Vrata, the puja is chosen on auspicious days like a Purnima or an Ekadashi, or whenever the Makara Sankramana happens, that is whenever the sun is entering into a zodiac, every month it does. And also when you're happy and there's some marriage in the house, you have built a house, some happy occasion, and also when there is some distress, great trouble, great sorrow, and you don't know where to look to, so this vrata is always prescribed. And also there is nothing called a good day or a bad day. Every day is a good day. We always say Tadeva Lagnam, Sudinam Tadeva, Tarabalam, Chandrabalam Tadeva, Vidyabalam, Daivabalam Tadeva, Lakshmi Patengri, Vidmam Smarami. The day our consciousness or awareness or the day we start looking at Narayana, that itself is a good day in our life. But anyway, today being a very auspicious Purnima day, let us all together do this Satyanarayana Vrata in this unique new format today. So before we start, I'll just say a small prayer. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurudevo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Matre Namah. Now, to know the absolute truth as my own nature, my very nature, is the very goal of human existence. This is what we are told. And this is why we are in satsangs and in study circles. The purpose is to know the absolute truth as my own existence, as my very goal. This is my very goal in my life. And to know this, there are certain things prescribed, jnana yogyata. When you have to know or to be given this higher knowledge, what we are told, you need to have the sadhana chatustaya sampatti. That is, you have to have the viveka of sat asat. What is true and what is untrue. Viveka of that. Vairagya, dispassion for the pleasures and pains towards samadhama, uparati, titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana, and Mumukshutvam. I will not go into details of these because this is not our topic today. But these are the essential requisites for a sadhaka or to get the yogyata for jnana marga. But since I do not have these qualities, should I stop looking for God? No, somewhere I have to start. Most of us do not have the manashakti, the strength of the mind we do not have. We do not have these qualities. We are still in the process of acquiring or working on these qualities for ourselves. So what is given to us is a Saguna Brahma Upasana. As we are doing the Tattva Vichara on one hand, we are seeking knowledge and we are attending Vedanti classes and sessions and trying to elevate ourselves through this knowledge. At the same time, we are also having an Anusthana of the Saguna Upasana of the Brahma in whichever form we like, as Devi, as Narayana, as Shiva, Ganapati, anything that pleases us. So that we are slowly building up on the qualities that are required for us, and at the same time we are pursuing the higher truth, whether we understand or not understand, but the pursuit is on. So, who is this Narayana? Well, in when the whole universe, the prapancha, when there was a great delusion, the laya happened. Uh, there was only water everywhere for some point of time, like 100 years. I think it only rained. So the entire place there was only water. So the one who is in Nara means water. So who is in water? Water is there everywhere and he is in the water and hence Narayana. Narayana also means Jnana Swarupa. So that is why Narayana. Naram also means the totality of all the beings, all the jivas. Jiva Samoha is called Nara. And Ayana, Ayana means Ashraya. We have taken refuge in that particular person. So hence the totality of the jivas have taken ashraya, and that is why Narayana, this word comes. And also in the Narayana Shabda, there is Ayanam. Ayanam means Prayanam. Prayanam is travel. What is this Prayanam? Prayanam is a travel of several lifetimes. There are some 82 lakh yonis is what we are told. A jiva has to go through so many births. So travel of lifetimes of doing punya, papa, going to various lokas, coming back. This is this cycle of births and deaths. And then through grace of gurus and God, learning Upanishads, and then going into Nivritti Marga. And at the end, somewhere, you have that focus towards the truth. The very purpose of this journey, at some life, at some point in our life, all of us will realize this, and that culminates the journey. So that is why Narayana. And a journey of lifetimes is included in that, and that is Narayana. This is one way of. There are several ways of explaining a meaning of a word in the Vedic literature, and that is the beauty. To each one spurana comes, one intuition comes, and each way is true, but what I know itself is not true. There is truth beyond what I know, and this is what has to be included, and it is beautifully included in Sanatana Dharma. So many people have explained the different texts. For example, Bhagavad Gita is explained by various school of thought. The Vishesh Advaitins, Advaitins, the Saguna Upasakas, everybody explains, the Siddhas, the Yogis, everybody explains it in the way that they understand, and each explanation and understanding is as true as the other person's understanding, and this is the beauty of our culture. Now we have to some extent we have understood what is Narayana. So can there be a Asat or Satyanarayana? Can there be a Narayana with Sat and Asat? So why Satyanarayana has come? So let us see a small story which most of you are familiar, but that story fits in correctly in this context. So I would like to retell that story once again. In the beginning, when there was only water, the creation has not started. At that time, we see this is a story of creation from Puranas. So Mahavishnu was there in the water line, in the water. And from the Nabhi Kamala of the Mahavishnu, Brahmaji was born. The Brahmaji who is supposed to be doing the creation activity, not the absolute Brahman. Now this Brahmaji, there were no five elements. Pancha Mahabhutas were not created. There were no lokas, no dimensions, and there was no stars, no galaxies. Absolutely nothing was there. Now, at this point, Vishnu gives darshan to this Brahmaji who is sitting in his Navi Kamalam. And he says, I am the one who created you, Brahma. And you have a task. You have to create the entire universe. You have to bring about all the beings who have gone into a pause mode. Everything has to be manifested once again. Now, this Brahma is disoriented. He doesn't know who is this Vishnu, who am I? He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know anything, what is truth, what is Vishnu, what is Brahma, what is creation. He has no clue. Now, when Vishnu says, Narayana says, I am the one who created you, he is not quite sure of what this guy is talking about. Then Vishnu says, there is one more person called Rudra. Rudra is from the Parashiva Amsa, Laya Amsa, from that Amsa is created. So we are three of us. We have to do the creation, sustenance, and dissolution. These jobs are given to us. Now, still Brahma is not convinced. So he says, let's do the dhyana. They call upon the Rudra also. So this Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra do the dhyana of the Paramatma, the Paramashiva. And how he appears? He appears as a Tejomaya Linga. That is a Jyotisthamba, a pillar of brilliant, bright light. And how is this? आपाताळनभस्थलान्तभुवनब्रह्माण्डमाविस्फुरत् ज्योतिस्फाटिकलिङ्गमौलिविलसत्पुण्येन्दुवान्तामृतैः अस्तोकाप्लुतमेकमीशमनिशं रुद्रानुवाकाञ्जपम् ध्यायेदीप्सितसिद्धये ध्रुवपदं विप्रो Vishinche Shivam. How is this stamba, this pillar of light that has emerged and give darshan to these three murtis? It is Apatalanabhasthalanta Bhuvana Brahmandamavispurat, from the Netherlands, from the Patalas, from where we do not know, no beginning, into the Nabha, into the Akasha, into the Nabhastalanta Bhuvana Brahmandama Vispurat. In the entire Brahmandas, that tejas, that light, that Prakasha has spread. So it has just emerged, and now no, this Brahma is still further confused. He was confused with Vishnu, he was confused with Rudra. He doesn't know who he is, what is happening, and now this Linga, this Jyotirlinga has emerged from nowhere. And then, you know, the story, like, you know, the Brahma is given the task because he has to know the truth of how Ananta this Paramatma Shakti is. So to give him a glimpse into that, they said, you go and look up for the end where this Linga ends. And Vishnu has given the task of going down to find where this Linga has begun. So this Linga is a beginningless, endless emergence into the universe. Now we know the story that Vishnu goes down and he cannot find where the origin of this Linga is, and after some time he comes up and he says it is Ananta, it is spread out. There is no beginning and end to this, and this is what Vishnu says. And Brahmaji says, after going to some level, he gives up. He says, there must be some end to this. It cannot be beginningless and endless. You know, somewhere it must be ending. So now let me stop this travel pursuit and come down. And he comes down and he says, yeah, I have gone to the end of this Linga. But Paramatma, Paramashiva knows that this is not the truth. So Brahmaji is reprimanded. He said, see, most of the times this happens to us also. We do not know. Now, there are certain things that is not within the purview of our knowledge and understanding. But still, because of so many factors, it could be ego, it could be ignorance, it could be anything. We always want to say, yeah, I know everything. And this is the very nature of all of us. And this happens to be a biggest block in our spiritual journeys and even in the material journeys, where there are things that we know and there are things that we do not know, and together makes the whole of the truth. So Brahmaji's confession that he has seen the end of this Linga was not considered as a full truth. So Shiva tells him that from today onwards you are cursed, Brahma. There will in no lokas, in the Indra loka, in the Bhu loka, or any loka, in the any dimension or any sphere in this universe, your Vigraha, your Murti will never be worshipped because you don't stand up as the truth. So anything that is not truthful is not even fit for worship in our culture. And this Brahma had 5 heads. So that head which has told the lies has been plucked off by the Shiva. And from then onwards, he started only having 4 heads. That means The dimension of looking up for the higher knowledge has been removed. You are only looking around you. So the going up option has been removed. So you really have to work hard to go up in life, go up in pursuing higher knowledge. I think this is one way of understanding. And from here, he started, uh, Sat started getting associated with Narayana, and this has become Satyanarayana. Now we all know that to truth there are several layers. We various layers depending on our evolution and understanding and at what state of mind we are. The same truth appears to be, at different layers. We discover different truths. So to say simply what is truth, there is a paramarthika truth, that is absolute truth, and there is a vyavaharika truth, that empirical truth in the transactions that we do. The understanding of us of the truth is as opposed to lies. That is the truth for us. So anyway, that is also good to start with because that's how it starts. Satyam Vada, we have to speak the truth. And how this truth has to be, the transactional truth also, how it has to be priyam. It has to be pleasing, pleasant. You cannot upset anybody by telling the truth. So you have to reframe the truth and tell it in such a way that it is pleasing to the person who is going to receive it. Hitam, it has to be for the well-being of all. Mitam, in measured words you speak, because this is a Shakti, Vak Shakti that we are using. So the less we use this Shakti, the more energy we are building up from inside ourselves for pursuit of higher truth. And and pramana, that means the truth, the facts have to be verified. You cannot talk your opinions. You have to talk only the facts. This is many of the news channels that we come across. Every time we are bombarded with somebody's opinion or views rather than the facts. So the factual truth, it has to be sweet, it has to be pleasing, it has to be the well-being of the whole has to be taken into account, measured and verified. This is the Vyavaharika Satya for us. Now what is Paramarthika Satya? Now earlier we have seen that when we were explaining the meaning of Narayana, Narayana means all in him, he in all. That is the Chaitanya Swarupa. And because this Chaitanya Swarupa is spread out, it is called Vishnu, right? Now this Narayana, we said Satyanarayana, right? Now, in our Vedantic teachings, we have an understanding that Sat and Chit are together always. They are one. They are inseparable. But for some reason, maybe Maya or whatever, Sat always looks as though it is outside of us, and Chit is inside us. This is how it appears to us, though it is not how it is. But let us take that only. So the Chit principle, the conscious principle in me, that Narayana in me, whenever I see things in the world, I say this is a computer, this is a laptop, this is a person, this is a tree. So I am lending existence to the Sat that is outside in the world. So the consciousness in me is lending existence to the Sat principle outside, and everything is being recognized by me and taken into my consciousness by recognizing it. So this is the Paramarthika Sat. So whatever is there around me, the Sat principle in it gets existence because the Narayana in me is recognizing it. So this is Sat, the truth of the highest order. And if we train ourselves to see that Sat, the Chaitanya in the Sat everywhere around us, that itself is our purpose of recognizing the absolute truth in our lives gets fulfilled like this. So this is called as the Sat. So that is how we come to the Paramarthika and the Vyavaharika understanding of the Satyanarayana principle. Now, let me take you all to Mundaka Upanishad. Mundaka Upanishad the prerequisites for meditating or for walking this path, you are given. Satyena labhyasa tapasa hesha atma samyajnanena brahmacharyena nityam. This nityam is very important. Antasharire jyotirmayo hi shubhro yam pashyanti yatata kshina doshaha. Most of us who attend the Vedanta classes are familiar with this verse in Mundakopanishad. It says, the Atma within my body, within me, is pure and it can be reached only by truth, tapas, sound knowledge, and brahmacharya. These four qualities that I have to. And topmost on the list is Satya. Satyam is given. The absolute truth. Now, tapasa. Tapasa is willingly giving up um, whatever. Swami Anubhavananda beautifully says, these days you do not have to go to Himalayas looking for troubles and do the tapasya over there. Sitting at home itself, all the troubles from your families and friends and the stresses that you have in day-to-day running life and all those things, if you are able to withstand this itself and continue your journey, this itself is tapasya for you. Tapasya is willfully giving up. And brahmacharya, celibacy, that is manasa vacha karmana. In all planes, I'm maintaining that celibacy because I do not want my energy to be leaked in various forms, dissipating the energy. So conserving that energy, because why they've spoken so much about brahmacharya, tapasya, satyam and all is, satyam is my commitment to the path. And tapasya, willfully I'm on my own will, I am ready to undergo any troubles that come in my way. Brahmacharya, all that I have in me, that I want to give, dedicate only for this purpose. So this commitment is, this is the highest thing for me, most important thing for me in my life. And all that I have, all the resources, energies, time that I have, I want to only dedicate to this purpose. That kind of highest commitment is asked of a student who wants to walk this path. So someday or the other, we have to do this. And Samyak Jnanam, proper inquiry into the nature of self through Vedanta, Shastra Vichara, and going through a Shotriya Brahmanishta Guru and learning from him all these things in a systematic manner. So this Satyam, Tapas, Brahmacharya and Samyak Jnanam, all these four, how long I have to do? Do I have to do on some important days or few years, 2 years, 3 years? Nityam, forever you have to do. So this is very important. So Satyanarayana Vrata is what? It is catalogued and put in Kamika Karmas. That means when you have some desire to fulfill that desire, you do the Satyanarayana Vrata. But Mundaka Upanishad is saying the Vrata of the Satyam, Nityam you have to do. So this pursuit cannot be common to any karma category, Nitya Naimittika or Kamika Karmas. It has to be done as long as you're alive, forever. And constantly, this should be your pursuit. So, this is the one verse, fifth verse from the third chapter. We've got one more verse in Mundaka Upanishad which emphasizes on the Satyam. Satyameva jayate nanrutam satyena pantha vitato devayana yena kramanatrishayo yapta kama yatra tat satyasya paramam nidhanam. Satyameva jayate. All of us have heard this because this is the motto, national motto of our country. So beautiful, right? What it says, the truth ever triumphs. Some people say truth always triumphs. I would like to use the word ever. Truth ever triumphs. And the path to the divine is what? Is paved in truth. Along it ascend the seers who are done with all the desires to where they are ascending, where they want to go, to that supreme abode. Yatra tat satyasya paramam nidhanam. To that supreme abode of truth they want to go. So, If you want to reach the absolute truth or recognize the truth that absolute truth is my very own self, if you want to recognize that, if you want to do that journey, your path has to be the truth and your destination is also truth. Here, your path and your destination are not different. Once you have taken the sankalpa that I am the absolute truth and this I want to recognize in my life, and other than this goal, I have no other goal in my life, then the path what you have to take, you have to start first doing the Satya Vrata. That means the Satyam itself is my path and my destination. Through this path, what is the destination where I am going to reach? I am going to reach the same absolute truth. So if anybody wants to reach the absolute truth or recognize themselves or know the highest knowledge, what is the path they have to talk is to
Rajiv, we are not able to hear you.
from where we have lost.
Now it came.
What
Now
was
it came. Yeah. Thank you.
okay? Did I miss something important?
Just half a sentence or so.
Okay, so the path and the destination both are the truth. So the national motto of our country is what? Satyameva Jayate, right? It is adopted by us from the highest of teachings of the Upanishads. And where we have this printed in the currency notes also, right? The currency notes that we use for transaction, it is printed on it. So in every transaction, the mundane daily activities, the highest truth is made part of our very being. So you may think you are doing a small transaction by handing over a note to somebody. There you are reminded, Satyameva Jayate, Satya alone, the truth alone triumphs. So in all your transactions, be truthful. So if we are ever reminded like this, sometimes it really pains me to think that why the people of my country are so corrupted today. Why this knowledge has not seeped into our souls. It is so much available everywhere around us in everything that we do. But why we have missed out on this aspect, and why today we are one of the still underdeveloping countries. We are still so much of corruption has plagued entire sphere of our life to such an extent that sometimes you feel is this the country that sages and rishis and munis have dreamt about? Is this a country, very country, where the highest of the truths are handed over to the most commonest of men? Even today, people from all over the world travel to my motherland seeking this knowledge in this land, in this soil. And this really pains me sometimes. I'm sorry to go divert from the topic. Now, what is Vrata? Vrata is niyama palana. That is, I keep some rules and regulations self-imposed for my own self. I say, I will do this, I will not do this. I will not tell lies, I will take bath. I will not eat a lot of food. I will consume a little bit of food that, whatever rules. There are do's and don'ts. This I bring upon myself, impose upon myself so that there is a certain discipline. I have a procedure in my hand as to how I want to go about it. Now, in the earlier days, the yajnas and yagas and so many rituals and so many things, holistic things from the Vedic culture were performed. And people had a lot of resources, they had long lifespans, and the whole society was oriented towards it. But in Kali Yuga, people have Papa Jivanam, that is sinful lives. Sorry to use the word, because you see, we are always interested in the sensual pleasures only. We are not interested in the highest of knowledge at all. Swami Anugavananji will sometimes say, whenever there is a Vedanta class, only 10 people or 15 people will be there. But if we want to do some Katha Kalakshepam, some time pass, there will be thousands of people, and no mandapa or no place can contain them. This is a sad story of our lives in Kali Yuga, because nobody is interested in knowing the truth, in knowing the scriptures, in knowing the higher knowledge. We do not have interest. Always you are engaged in the pleasures of the sensory organs. Buddhikshinata. We do not have that kind of mindset There is no, minds are not strengthened to take anything on this path. And very weak-minded people we are. And we don't have great lifespans. The bodies are weak, minds are weak, the food that we get is not so great. Well, this is the dharma of this yuga. Kali Yuga dharma, people will be like this, and it has already been seen in the great by the great sages and everybody in the earlier times that as the times deteriorate, this is how the situations will be, and the human being will find it more and more difficult to pursue truth because he is busy making both the ends meet. He is struggling with so many diseases in his body. His mental afflictions are there, physical afflictions are there, so many things are there that day-to-day battles that he has to fight. So he really has no time to pursue what is higher knowledge, what is the goal of my life, and all these things. So in such a situation, what can we do for this people of Kali Yuga was uh, always troubling the people in the Devalokas. Always they were designing things for us so that, like easy made for us to do things in an easy fashion. And that is why for Kali Yuga, Nama Sankirtana is only prescribed. No matter whatever you are doing, whichever situation you are there in, just do the Nama Sankirtana. You don't have to do a big yajna yaga. Having said that, I'm not saying you should not do whenever you have an opportunity, please do all those things. But take to this, which is easily given to us, because this Yoga Dharma demands something very easy made like us. Beauty of this land and Dharma is that subtlest of the knowledge, the highest of the ideals are brought down to the level of the ordinary person, everyday person that you see around. These knowledge, these high ideals, lofty things are brought down to their level without diluting the essence or the effect that it can give us. This person is caught up in samsara, and to this ordinary person, the highest of the truths are packaged in the form of vratas and pujas and things easily can be attained by anybody. And this is made a part of our everyday life. Satyanarayana Vrata in India, whether it is North India, South India, any India, whenever there is a marriage, the newly married couple will do Satyanarayana Vrata. Whenever there is a child born, there will be Satyanarayana Vrata. Griha Pravesha, when you are entering into a new home, there will be Satyanarayana Puja. When you have distress, when you have a court case, when you have troubles, you don't know where to look to, you do a Satyanarayana Vrata. So what I am trying to say here is every occasion, every trouble, everything, this highest of truth is given to you. So maybe when you're happy, when your heart is expanded, maybe you will have a closer look at the truth that is so close to you and are reminded of the goal of your life. Maybe not. Maybe when you're in distress, when you're in deep trouble, when you're sick, when you're poor, poverty stricken, you start questioning, right? What happened? What have I done? Why this thing has come to me? Why there is a block in my energies? Why things are not moving? You sometimes question either when you're, maybe when you are in distress. So then also, at least if you take a closer look at Satyanarayana or Sat principle, that is available to you. What I'm trying to say is there is no one who is beyond redemption. It is available for all at all times. All that we need to do is look little closer. So Satyanarayana Vrata, most of you are all familiar, right? All it has got 5 stories and how the puja is done and all those things. So I'll throw a little light on that. Usually these vratas and are done for the Loka Kalyana, welfare of the humanity at large, and bringing together various people of all caste, creed, class, gender, occupation, ages, men, women, belonging to different ashramas, maybe a brahmachari, you may be a grihastha, even sannyasis, because sannyasi also starts his journey because he wants to discover the highest of truth, right? So Satyanarayana Vrata is prescribed even for a sannyasi. Now, these vratas and all, why they are done is at some point in life, as we do all these things, at some our commitment to the truth, our commitment to the very purpose that we have come is packaged in that. Now here, in any vrata, there is a vrata vidhanam. How do you go about doing it? There is a katha, a story. and prasadam. These are the three important aspects in a Satyanarayana Vrata, and they are all symbolic. What does it mean? We will try to see uh, in the given time that we have. Now, this is found in the Reva Khanda of the Skanda Purana, the Satyanarayana Vrata. Now, the story goes is that Asuta Muni is sitting in the Naimisaranya and um, uh, telling us the whole story, how it came and how it spread out into the Bhumandala and everything. Here, Narada, who is a very compassionate saint, is always going around the Brahmanda, is taking rounds and checking the welfare of every being, uh, and he is always in communication with Narayana, right? So this Narada goes to the Vaikuntha and pleads to Narayana that Swami, people of Kali Yuga are so much in the misery that to look at Sat, to know the purpose of their life, they hardly have any time and inclination. So can you be a compassionate soul? Can you please do something so that they will also enjoy the benefits of this? So this is the first katha. Here the Narayana himself. Why Narayana? Because Narayana is the preserver of this universe, right? Sthiti, Karta. So who better? He is the protector of this universe. So he himself gives out a plan. He says um, how the Satyanarayana Puja has to be done. In the Satyanarayana Puja, you erect a mandapa or you create a stage, a small stage. You put a plank. On that plank, you put some rice and then you spread out a cloth. The cloth is symbolic of the universe. So the entire universe you are bringing as a cloth that is spread on that mandapa. Having spread the universe, now what you want to do, you want to call all the universal forces come. Who are these universal forces who are running this universe? The Ashtadikpalakas, the deities for the 8 directions. Adidevasas and Pratyadi Devatas, the supporting Devatas. How you are calling them? You're just using a betel nut, arak nut, or a turmeric stem. Very easily available in every household, and they are not very expensive also. So with this and a betel leaf, and you put a betel leaf and you ask the Ashtadikpalakas from all the directions with their families and supporting deities, please come and take your position. How you are doing it? Through bhavana, through your intention. But our intentions are not so great like in the other yugas. So we take the help of a mantra. Mantra has a Shakti. Your mantra and the bhavana together has the energy to bring the universal forces into your very home where you are sitting. Now we are going to bring them as we narrate the stories. So we ask the Ashtadikpalakas, come and take your place in this mandapa. Then you have the Navagrahas, 9 planets. What are these 9 planets? They are the cosmic energy of the sun only in various levels. So these various, because sun is the most important source of energy for us, and his energy in 9 levels has taken the form of 9 different planets. So we call these planets, come, please take your seat on this mandapa. I've created a mini universe in my very home, wherever I am doing the puja. So Ashtadikpalakas, Navagrahas have come. Now the Panchaloka Palakas have to come. Who are these Panchaloka Palakas? The Trimurtis, the Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar, and their Shaktis, Mahalakshmi, Mahakali, Mahasaraswati. So three of them plus Ganesha to remove all the obstacles in our path, and Ma Durga to give protection for everything. These are called Pancha Lokapalakas. So you are calling the Pancha Lokapalakas. So all the universal forces, Shaktis, you have already brought into your house. So there is nobody now. Narayana, he is left. Now what do? You take a kalasha, any pot. It need not be a silver or gold or copper or anything. It can be a mud pot. Anybody can do it. So in a mud pot, put some water. Varuna. Varuna is brought in. In that you put a coconut. Purna phalam you put. And into that water, into that pot of water, what you are going to do? Invoke the Vishnu himself, Mahavishnu himself. That is the energy, Shakti of your bhavana, belief and intention. And that is the Shakti of the mantra that is given to you. So what you say, oh Vishnu, please come. into this kalasha, into this pot of water and sit here. You know what you say? Kalashasya mukhe Vishnu kante rudra samashrita mule tatra sito brahma madhye matragana smrita kukshau sagara sarve sapta dvipa vasundara rukvedo adhaitirveda samavede adharvana angai cha saita sarve kalasam samashrita. You're bringing everything. Apo vaidikam sarvam vishwa bhutan apa pranamapo pasvapo annamapo amritmapo samradapo viradapo swaradapo chandagumsapo jyotigumsapo yajigumsapa satyamapa sarva devata apo bhutbhavastaro. So everything, you have not left anything, including Satyam. Everything has been transferred into that pot that is sitting in front of you. All the forces that are guiding the universe, they have been brought. All the Lokapalaka, everybody has brought. Everybody is offered a seat now. This is this, this is what this is what is this is what is mind blowing in this. It looks like a small procedure. It looks like lower order truth. People only pursuing a certain things in life. This is not for people who are pursuing Vedanta or knowledge, higher knowledge should not do. But the highest knowledge that we are pursuing itself is put in a Kriya form like this as a reminder for us that look for Satyam, look for the goal of your life. Concentrate on the purpose that Ramana Maharshi beautifully used to say, Vanda Vela Paru. And so the very work for which you have come, take care of that. So this is what we have come for. And this is so beautifully made available for the highest of jnanis to the most ordinary of the woodcutters in this story. Now, this is how, and the prasadam is what? Very ordinary prasadam. You're not spending high, expensive ingredients. You're not using lot of ghee and lot of things and making a exotic dish. No. What is a prasadam? Earlier days, when the yajnas and yagas were performed, there was something called, some sacrifice was made. Something called purodasam. Purodasa is made. Purodasa means the first offering. How is this purodasa made? Is made of barley or wheat or rice flour mixed with little bit of ghee, very little bit of cow ghee. Because cow ghee is supposed to be the amrita, it has the properties, very nice properties. And if you have some jaggery, just put some jaggery into it. This rice cake or wheat cake that is made, this was you offered in the yajnashalas and then taken as prasadam. See, that highest of the yajnas that they were performing and using purodasam, that is brought down as prasadam in Satyanarayana Vrata. In Satyanarayana Vrata, what is the most important prasada? You make some dry prasadam with a flour, wheat flour or rice flour or something, add some ghee, add some jaggery into it, and that is the most important ingredient. You can make any other prasada, but this is what is mandatory. So this reminds, these are symbolics of the yajnas in the earlier days people used to do. We are not doing such big procedures. You have been given a very small procedure to do. With this, all your troubles will go away. You will have a happy life. This is the message. Now, in the second story, this knowledge has to come from the Vaikunta, right? Narayana has already told how it has to be done. And it has to be transferred to the earth sphere. So it comes to the Bhuloka. How? In Kashi, there is a poor Brahmin and he's struggling. Every day he goes for alms and he doesn't get enough. He's struggling to make both the ends meet. But how is this Brahmin? He's a very well educated. He has learned Vedas. He has got Vedic knowledge, the highest knowledge that this land can offer. And still he is poverty stricken. See the irony. There Mahavishnu comes, Narayana comes as a Vruddha Brahmin, as an old Brahmin, and tells this poor Brahmin, oh poor Brahmin, I will initiate you into something called Satyanarayana Vrata. You do the Vrata and all your problems. See, in these stories, everything looks very dramatic. You know, boats will sink, people will die, died people will be resurrected. All these things will happen. Everything, all the results, instantly they will happen because we do not have time to extend the story to years. We want to say, we want to tell the truth hidden in the story. So these are all symbolic stories. We have to take them like that. We should not understand why Satyanarayana gets angry. Why is he so fond of people doing this vrata? If you are not doing the vrata of Satyanarayana, will he kill you? Will he give you problems? No, that is not how it is intended to. The universal forces themselves will gang up against you. The moment you are not giving your awareness to the truth, to the pursuit of truth, you will go through this life cycles of birth and death, and you will get into more and more miseries because you are ignoring the absolute truth that is so much available to you. So, to bring your awareness to the very purpose of your life, the entire universe gangs up against you and stands in front of you as a block, as a trouble in your way. And then you start thinking, why this has come to me? What should I do? Then you start thinking why these things are, why the natural forces, the universal forces are not in harmony with me. And then maybe you will start thinking that you have lost the purpose of your life and you come back to the purpose of life. That is the intention of all these stories. Now this person is initiated into the Satyanarayana Vrata, and that day he goes for alms, he gets a lot of money. With the money he does performs. What is the meaning here? Though this man was so knowledgeable, but in the Vedas, all the knowledge is there, how to earn money, what to do, what not to do, everything is there. Even when you are enabled and empowered with knowledge of the highest order, still there is daridram, there is poverty at material level. So for a sadhaka, there cannot be a poverty at either mental level, material level, or spiritual level. All three spheres, you have to be contented. Now, Sat Chit Ananda. We're talking about Satyanarayana, Sat Chit principle. So, what should be the byproduct of Sat Chit is bliss. What is bliss? Will I have 10 cars? Will I have palatial bungalows? Will I have lavish lifestyle? No. Whatever I need to conduct the activities of my life will be given to me, and there is certain kind of contentment in my life. This contentment is bliss, and this is the result of doing the Satyavrata. Okay, so when there is Sat and Chit, where bliss will go? The bliss has to come as a byproduct, right? So the contentment comes. So this Brahmin has realized from Kashi that highest knowledge that I have, I am not able to apply in my life and remove the poverty. Remember our sages and rishis who were staying in the ashrams in the outskirts of the cities those days, they were not poverty stricken, they were not poor people. When the kings go with their entire armies to an ashram to see their gurus, they would feed the entire army. They had resources like that. No, none of these rishis were poor householders. They lived a modest life, but they had enough to provide for their wife, for their children, and for all the people who come to their house as guests. When Atithi comes to your house, you have to feed the Atithi and you have to look into the requirements of the people that are dependent on you, right? So this poverty thinking has to be removed from our souls. So somewhere this Brahmin realized there was a takeaway for him after listening to the Satyanarayana Vrata, and he vowed to realign himself to the purpose of his life. And he knew where the blocks were, knots were. He removed that knots through understanding. And then he had a contented life for the rest of the years that he spent on the earth. And a woodcutter comes to his house and asks him what you are doing in your, what puja you are doing in your house. So this Brahmin who has corrected his poverty issues. Many of the times, people are very knowledgeable, but they do not want to go and work. They do not want to go physical activity. They do not want to go because we think we are superior. We are not supposed to serve others. We cannot be working under somebody. These are all wrong notions in life we have. So these wrong notions have to be eliminated by the right knowledge, and then only there will be contentment. The poverty thinking in our life will go away. So he initiates the woodcutter. Woodcutter is the most ordinary man. He does not have any knowledge of anything. He doesn't want to know about purpose of his life, whatever. And that woodcutter takes interest out of devotion because he believes he has faith in this man. And without any questions, without any doubts, he goes, he sells the wood and he gets a lot of money that particular day. And at home he conducts a Satyanarayana Vrata, and it is said in the story that these two people lived a happy, contented life pursuing their path. for the rest of their life, and when they died, they went to Vaikunta. This is the story. Now, third and the fourth story is very interesting. In the third story, there is a trader called Sadhu. And this trader, how does a trader's buddhi work? Like, if I do this, what will I get out of it? That is the whole calculations mathematics is always doing. Even with God, even with everything around him, these calculations are always there. And doubt. He doesn't have belief. And he always only believes in what he can achieve through his efforts. Other than that, and the universal forces and other things, there is no Shraddha. So, or Shraddha is lacking. Here, when he is traveling, he sees one king is performing Satyanarayana Vrata on the banks of a river. And he asks the king, "What are you doing?" The king says, "I do not have children, so I want to have children, and for that I am performing this Vrata." So, this sadhu, this trader also doesn't have children. So, he goes home and tells his wife, "I heard about this Vrata called Satyanarayana Vrata. Now we do not have children, so if we have children, then we will perform this." So in the next very year, his wife Leelavati conceives and she delivers a beautiful baby girl called Kalavati. And then she reminds her husband, "You told that you will do Satyanarayana Vrata if we have a child." He says, "Oh, it's okay. I mean, sometimes we think, oh, because of prayers this happened, or because of my efforts it happened. We don't want to give any credit to that. So we say, okay, we will, this is not very important now. When she gets married, we will do the Satyanarayana Vrata." So your commitment, there is no commitment to truth, what you have spoken, what you have committed to. So procrastinating, you're pushing it because lack of Shraddha, right? So this girl becomes of marriageable age, she gets married, then also Satyanarayana Vrata is not done. And I'm fast forwarding the stories. And then when the son-in-law and the father-in-law go for a business trip, and then what happens? All the difficulties fall upon them because twice this has been postponed. You have not stood by your commitment. Now, here when he goes to a new place, there is a theft in the treasury of the king, and the soldiers are following the thieves, and those thieves drop all the whatever they have robbed just in front of where these two people are sitting. And the soldiers of the king uh, implicate them in a wrong case, put them behind the bars. So all the miseries in their life have started because what is the misery, what is the dukkha in the samsara is when you have incomplete knowledge, when you are in the grip of the Maya, when you have gone away from truth. That is the biggest miseries in our life. That is the biggest dukkha in our lives. The diagnosis is we have moved away from the truth. And there in the house, Leelavati, Kalavati, the house is robbed. They become poor to the extent that they do not have food to eat. Their miseries have started. And this Kalavati goes to somebody's house where they are performing Satyanarayana Puja. She attends, brings prasadam home. And mother asks, "Where were you, my dear? It is so late in the night." So this daughter says, "I went to somebody's house who were doing this puja. I got the prasadam and I came home." Then the mother is reminded, "Oh, we also have taken a vow to do Satyanarayana Vatra when you were born. Since we did not do it, all these miseries have befallen us." And she corrects her understanding, flaws. And then she does the Satyanarayana Puja at home. Both mother and daughter, they do. Because, see, idea is you do not have to have a husband next to you to do the puja. Anybody, everybody, when our attention goes to the goal of my life, purpose of my life, that is pursuing the truth of who I am, then everything, all the universal forces become harmonious towards you and everything falls in place. This is the inner meaning of these stories. So these ladies have performed the vrata, and Narayana comes in the dream of that king and he says, "Please release those two men. You have implicated them wrongly in a robbery case." So the king releases them, gives them wealth, gifts, and whatever, and sends them off. This is the end of the one story, third story. The fourth story is this father-in-law and son-in-law are on the voyage. They want to come back home. So their ships are full of wealth, jewels, money, everything. And again, Narayana comes because he's still not done with them. Because these the mother and the daughter have realized and realigned with the purpose of their life, but this man has still not come to terms with it. So Narayana comes as a sadhu, as a sannyasi, and asks for bhiksha from these two people. And the father-in-law says, I don't have any money to offer you. That's a lie, right? And then the sannyasi says, then what is there sitting in the boats? He says, oh, that the vessels are very empty. There is nothing. Only some leaves and twigs are there in that. So the Narayana says, Tadastu, so be it. So all the wealth in that ships, both the ships that these people are sailing in, becomes full of twigs and leaves, dry leaves. So the son-in-law realizes the mistake that they have done, and he tells the father-in-law, let's go and repent for the mistake and ask for forgiveness to that sannyasi. So they go to the sannyasi in the room, and Narayana, who has come as sannyasi, and repents, and then he says, okay, that means they have corrected the wrong notion, wrong understanding, and they've realigned with the purpose of their life. So he blesses them with all the gifts and everything, and they're coming back home, and they've sent message to the wife and the daughter that the both men are arriving. So this wife and daughter, out of happiness, they again do Satyanarayana Vrata at home. But in the eagerness to meet, this girl doesn't partake the prasadam that is given to Satyanarayana, and she, in a hurry, goes to meet the husband. So what happens? The husband's ship, in front of the full view of everybody, just sinks and he dies instantly. And then there is Akashavani. It says, you have not partaken the prasadam of the Satyanarayana puja. That is why this misery has befallen on you. So immediately she prays and repents for the mistakes. So I told you the Vratavidanam, the Katha, and the Prasadam, three are all important aspects. And all are, Satyanarayana is a Veda Swarupa. So all the highest knowledge is packed in these three sections. So again, that man is restored, resurrected, and then the whole family decides now and here on the shore, on the banks of this sea or river, whatever. Here we will do Satyanarayana now and here. We will not even go home. See, that is the turning point in all these stories. Here, the recognition when it comes to you, when you've been reminded of the greatest purpose of your life, how your attitude should be, I'm not going to postpone it anymore. This is so important for me. I don't know how many lifetimes I have wandered here and there to come to this understanding and to this recognition. This is the Sudinam for me. This is the best day of my life, best moment of my life. And now and here, where is this Satyam available to us? Where is this Satyanarayana Swarupa available to us? It is the highest truth is available to us now and here. It is nowhere else. So the symbolism in doing the vrata then and there itself is not because they are scared that he will kill or he will destroy or miseries will befall on them. The understanding is that the moment you realize the purpose of your life and how much of journey that you have done in your lifetimes to come to this point, there is a urgency comes and it say, I'm not postponing anymore. Now and here I am getting on with the purpose, the vratam of my life. And in the fifth story, there is another king who goes for hunting, comes and sits under a tree, and there some cowherds and shepherds are doing the Satyanarayana Vrata, and they offer him some prasada. This king, because of vanity, he thinks that the small people, ordinary people, and I'm a king. How can I take something given by these people? So he doesn't partake in the prasada. He goes home and discovers that his kingdom, his wealth, his 100 children, everybody dies, everything gets destroyed. Now 100 children are nothing but the Shatendriyas. In the Vedic Sampradaya, no? Shatendriya, Shatamanam Bhavati, Shatayu, Ayushevendriye. So they're blessing the 100 Indriyas there. Now, these Indriyas are not similar to our understanding of the Indriya. This Shatendriyas that is spoken about in the Vedas is very different. In some lecture, maybe we will talk about it. So, symbolic 100 sons dying is that Shatendriya is destroyed there. Then he realizes his mistake, comes back to the same spot, conducts Satyanarayana Vrata, partakes in the prasada, and this is how all these stories are narrated to us. But if any of you have gone to Puri Jagannath, there is a tradition, beautiful tradition of having Mahaprasada. In Odisha, all the cultural, social events, this Mahaprasada plays a very important role. This prasada which is offered to the Lord Jagannatha, it seems when it is cooked and taken, there is no flavor in this prasada. But after offering it to the Lord, the prasada becomes enhanced with uh, flavors. And that is the blessing of the Devi. Uh, Urmila, the wife of Lakshmana, enters into the prasada, and Jagannatha himself enters into the prasada. And prasada is exchanged between people of various classes and castes. This creates a kind of binding bond between the people and brings them together in a very different way. This prasada partaking is what? When I offered it to the God, it has become godly. So what am I? My body is Annamaya Kosha. This is made of the food. And my thoughts is made, my mind is 1/6 of the essence of this food goes to my thoughts. In all the Vedic culture, the yajnas, yagas, everything is done to elevate us to higher thoughts, right? So when we partake in the prasadam, sanctified offer to the Lord, the thoughts that arise out of us are noble thoughts, higher thoughts. This is the secret of partaking in the prasadas. And also we are told that whatever karma phala we get, whatever good, bad, whatever happens in our life, we have to accept it as a prasada bhavana. Lord has given me the prasada, and without complaining, without cribbing, without any negative energies, I go with the flow of life. It is one beautiful understanding that is brought into our day-to-day life. Now, uh, this is uh, this is all about Satyanarayana Vrata, and the insights into the Satyanarayana Vrata is just to align with the purpose of Sat in your life. Now, there's a beautiful uh, thought process. Um, in one of my classes, when I was teaching about Devi Upasana, we have their japas or mantra shastra is dwelt upon. There, the aksharas play a very important role, the matrikas. They are considered as the divine energies, and they are not like the way we understand in Sanskrit. See, these matrikas, the swaras, atuaha, are called Tidinicha Devatas, the time guiding the time principle from the lunar cycle. From Amavasya to Purnima and Purnima to Amavasya, there are 15 days shift. Each is assigned by a Devi, and that starts with A to Aha. So there's a beautiful way of understanding this matrikas or the Vedic language or the aksharas that we have. It's called Akshara Parabrahma, and we are doing the upasana of that. The very akshara itself is goddess Bhagavati. So, and we are invoking them in our own body and reaching to higher knowledge through these aksharas. Because the Jagat, which is full of sound and form, Nama Rupatmaka Jagat, is emerged from these aksharas. Is it is Akshara Parabrahma Sarupini. When I was talking like this, a friend of mine, Akshitala Krishna Raghava, are you there? Yeah.
Namaste.
So,
Yes, I am there.
namaste, namaste. So, Raghav Garu and me are great friends and also Sahasishyas. We have a same guru under whom we are learning Sri Vidya. And sometimes we have some interesting classes together also. In one of the classes, we were talking about matrikas, and then he told me introduced me to a very interesting thought process and a person. When Raghav Garu was in US, when he was studying over there, he came across a person called Vishwanatha Achyuta Devarayalu. This Vishwanatha Achyuta Devarayalu is the son of a literary giant in Andhra called Vishwanatha Satyanarayana. There is nobody who would have not heard him or read his literature. He is a giant in literature. And he has created some masterpieces for us. And his son is Vishwanatha Achyuta Devarayalu. And Raghav Garu, when he was young and studying in US, he was greatly influenced by the writings, thought processes, and knowledge that Vishwanatha Achyuta Devarailu had to share. And I'm very happy that Raghav ji has introduced me to such a beautiful thought process. Now, for sake of convenience, I will just call him Rayalu Garu. Okay, Rayalu. Now, this Rayalu Garu is born somewhere in the 1920s. He did his MSc in physics and he worked in All India Radio and retired as a chief engineer from Doordarshan. And after retirement, he moved to US to be with his children, daughter and son. And there, at the age of 60, he started learning Vedas. And already he has a great legacy in his father, right? So he's inherited a lot of thought process and lot of wisdom from his own household. No wonder that a person of this caliber had insights into Vedic knowledge like this. Now, Raghav Garu has introduced me to some of his essays and teachings in the way of audio classes. Both of us were having reading sessions. So from whatever little I could gather, I was so fascinated about this person's thought process and the work that he has done, that in some of the lectures I definitely wanted to throw light on this, and I'm so thankful, and I really invoke Achyuta Devarailu Garu to speak through me in this session. He has very beautifully decoded Satyanarayana Vrata and so many other things. I do not have so much of time, but very little I will share and leave some food for your thought so that you can mull and enjoy this. This is a takeaway from this session. Now, this Achyuta Devarailu used to have a lot of interactions with Chinmayanandji, Dayananda Saraswati and all during their visits to US and all. And he had interacted with great spiritual masters of his times. Now, what he has to say, I will slowly read. I hope you're all with me in this. He says, Veda Bhasha, that language of the Vedas, is a firstborn because Vedas are aporshayam. Nobody has written them, right? And Sanskrit is born out of it. So Sanskrit and the language of the Vedas is two different things. Now, second, the words in Vedas have come into Sanskrit, right? Because Sanskrit has come from the Vedic language only. Now, there are similar words in Sanskrit and also in the Veda. So, if we are trying to understand Veda through Sanskrit, we will ascertain the meanings of Sanskrit to the Vedic language. That is doing great injustice to Vedic language, is what Devarailu says. Now, he says the words may be same in Sanskrit and in Veda, but the meaning will be different. And then again he says that when we presume that Sanskrit is the language of Vedas, we get into trouble in our understanding of this text. And he says Vedic language is different from the conventional language that we use and we know. Why? Because Veda talks about something called Aksharam. Now, it is the vowel, that's Swaras. Most of you who are familiar with the 50 alphabets we have in Veda and Sanskrit, A to Ksha. A to Aha are called Swaras, or the vowels, the 16 vowels we have. And then we have 35 consonants from Ka to Ksha. Now, for any consonant to stand up, Ka I cannot say without using A. Ga I cannot say without using A. For that matter, I cannot pronounce anything without the use of A, the swara. So, all the language, Vedic language, is a combination of this consonant and vowel. Without vowel, there is no language. This is called prana aksharas. They are giving the life energy for a consonant even to stand up. I cannot say ga without saying using a. Okay. Now, this is called samhita. That means the vowel consonant combination that is a natural union which happens. I'm not making any effort. When I say ka, naturally I have to combine it with a. When I say ga, I have to combine with a. When I say da, I have to combine it with a. Natural process it is happening. This is the fundamental samhita on which the entire speech depends. This is what Rayulu Garu has to say. And then he takes it further and says, the live, energetic and vibrant aksharas. This is a very interesting stuff. I urge you all to be with me for a few more minutes. This is live. These aksharas are live, energetic and vibrant matrix. Where are they available? They are embedded in my very mouth, from my throat to my lips. This machine, this talking machine that is there, all these aksharas are already embedded in it. Like, when you play a veena or a flute or anything, already where is the sa placement, pa placement, all the placements are there. But when people who play veena must be familiar, when you press at that particular place, you can play sa. So it is already embedded in the veena. Only you use little force, the sa will come out, pa will come out, ga will come out, right? Similarly, this is a veena. This is an instrument that God has created, this machine. And he has placed all the swaras and consonants from the throat to the lips. So whenever you use the prana shakti, this veena plays. So these are vibrant. So I don't have to look outside. The tool is already given to me. It is in my own hands. The live, energetic, vibrant Akshara matrix is embedded in the mouth of every human being. And this is the basis on which the Vedic language is built. To understand Veda, I do not have to go seek refuge in Sanskrit. I don't have to learn anything. My own talking machine, that is the tool that is available to me, will reveal the inner meanings of Veda. That is what he's saying. The Vedic language is made to express various forces of the microcosm, that is me, whereas all the other languages, including Sanskrit, express what we see and know outside of us. That is a major difference between understanding. So Vedic language is not for communication. I'm not going to sit and communicate or do lectures in Vedic language. Vedic language is for me to go inward, to understand, and it is a window for me to know my subtle body. It is Antarmukha Samaradhya, Bahirmukha Sudurlabha, Lalita Sasna, which is unless you go inside of yourself, you will never know the truth. It will be revealed to us inside you. So the Veda Bhasha, the Vedic language, is something that enables you to go within yourself and not search it in the outside world as the other languages do. Now, there's a beautiful example that he gives about Aksharam. Aksharam, all of us know, right? Now, what is this Aksharam? It is a combination. He says, like the alphabets we have now from A to Ksha. All A to Aha are called swaras. And the rest of the consonants are divided into 4 parts. That is the sparsha aksharas, that means the stops wherever we touch, either the cheeks or the upper palate or whatever. Then ushma aksharas, that is called where you need more force, shesha, sa, ha, we are exerting more pressure. Then antastas, that is the semi-vowels, ya, ra, la, va. And the nasal words like na, nya, na, ma, wherever the nasal sound comes. Now, these are the divisions of the aksharas. All the swaras, vowels are represented by A. You are with me? Akshara we are decoding. All the sparsha aksharas are stops, are represented by Ka, A, Ka. All the ushma aksharas are represented by Sha, A, Ka, Sha. Anthastas, or the semi-vowels, are represented by Ra, A, Ka, Sha, Ra. And the nasal sounds are represented by Ma, A, Ka, Sha, Ra, Ma, Aksharam. That is how Aksharam is derived. What is it trying to tell is, the Vedic language, like in an English language, suppose if I say a bat or a ball or whatever, Each individual alphabet does not mean anything. Together, the word becomes meaningful to me. But in Veda Bhasha, the word derives its meaning from individual aksharas. Individual aksharas are like a chemical equation. Each akshara is serving a purpose and giving a meaning, and together it conveys one meaning. So, aksharam means all the swaras, all the sparshas, all the ushmas, antastas, nasal sounds combined together is representative aksharam. That means what it sounds. So not only the word has a meaning, but every alphabet that makes up the word is vibrant, moving, and living, and it has a specific meaning. And together, this equation gives us a new meaning. That is what uh, Devarayulu has to say. He says the Vedic languages uses these words or aksharas as windows through which we can see the working of the subtle body. Now, we say no ananta vai Vedaha. That means what? Vedas are infinite. How it is infinite? Because each person, when he learns and listens to Veda and he goes inside, the Veda Vakyas or the Aksharas themselves will reveal him certain truths. So each one has a truth revealed to him. I have a truth, you have a truth, everybody has a truth. My truth is not the only truth. So, like this, each one gets a spurana, intuition into a new meaning into the same word. This is what Devarayalu says. Each person gets a new insight, a new meaning, a new intuition into the same word, and that is why each word to each person will reveal itself in a unique manner. That is why Ananta vai Vedaha. So, so much it is, so endless it is. So, and he says everyone has a tool to understand this Veda on his own, because this is not a culture that is given to us where you are dependent, you are self sufficient. Sat is always there, Chaitanyam is inside you, or the machine which produces the Vedic sounds and the understanding of this. The tool is also given to you. You are already made self sufficient. Everything that you require to pursue this journey is already given to you, and that is the beauty of this. And he says, I will take you through one more small example. He says, Veda is about the, whenever we hear Vedas, what comes to our mind? Yajnas, Mahayajnas. What is this Mahavajna that Veda always talks about? It's our own life. Our very life itself is a yajna. Veda is not a textbook of some language. It is talking about our own life as a yajna. Our life is full of actions and events, right? And the area of articulation is the main area, this area, where all the action, events, and everything is taking place. It says, Vaghi yajna. My vak itself is yajnam. Because this much of importance we have given to the vak shakti, right? Because they say, you keep on following the truth, keep on uttering the truth, you will get vak suddhi. That means the truth is one, like, recognizing the truth is one aspect. As I get more and more established and strengthened in practicing my truth, what happens? Whatever I start uttering starts becoming truth. That is also there, possibilities there. That is what we mean by vak suddhi. Whatever I start uttering, once I reach to that dimension, the whole universe will conspire and make the truth for me, because I have reached that dimension of truth. So he says every action is a yajna. Vag is, my speech is also yajna. In fact, that is the representative of all the actions in my life is the speech. So much of importance is given to the speech in our culture. Our ideas, intentions, desires, all are converted into what? Aksharas. And the speech action that is happening, that's why they say, manasa, vacha, karmana, in all three planes. When I talk, when I think, and when I do, on all three planes, I have to follow the truth, manasa, vacha, karmana. So the speech action is a representative of all actions of our life. All of us know the alphabets Yara, Lava, right? Now, Achyutarayalu very beautifully decodes this. He says man is always doing something or the other, right? That is represented by yakara, ya. Then he is an individual, a separate jiva. That is represented by rakaram, ya, ra. How it progresses the language also. Then he is different when he is possessed and gripped by doing something, some devabha, some higher goal he wants to achieve. That same jiva gets gripped. That is represented by lakara. Yakara, Rakara, Lakara. And then he can speak and express these Deva Bhavanas that are coming to him. That is Vakara, Vak. So this is how the progression of from A to Ksha, how the each alphabet has taken a meaning and progressed. And when we represent, like Radha Garu says, when we say H2O, it represents water. Like that, when we say H2O2, it represents hydrogen peroxide. One molecule, one atom here and there changes the whole meaning of that, whole property of that. Similarly, in the Veda Vasha, the placement of aksharas is like a chemical equation. And from there, we have to understand and decode the meanings hidden in the Vedas. So, through Achyuta Devaraya's eyes, we will decode Satyanarayana, and then I will conclude for that. He says Satyam. Are you all with me? I hope. Satyam. And Raghav Garu, please correct me if I'm going wrong anywhere. Satyam is, first word is what? Sakara. Sakara represents a Sarva Jiva Prana. We have, in the Narayana, we have seen the totality of all beings. Sarva Jiva Prana is represented by Sakara, Sa. Takara, Sat, next alphabet. Takara represents the Pratishtha, the platform or the awareness on which everything is based. Yakara, Sa, Ta, Ya. Yakara means Yatnam, efforts that we take. And Makara represents the Manas, my mind. So, Satyam, together what? Efforts made by you to bring Sarvajiva Prana into the Takara, awareness. That means you're bringing all the totality of the beings into the Pratishtha, into the awareness. This bringing all beings into the awareness is Satyam. So beautifully explained. Which means he says inclusiveness. You cannot leave anything what is in your awareness. Bringing all that into one platform of awareness. That is called Satyam. That is how he decoded this word. Now, Narayana, any akshara which has got dirgha, na, ra, means it is in movement, it is active, it is moving somewhere. So in na is my jnana, and jiva's jnana, very small jnana I have. Ra is my jiva, na, ra. Both are moving. See, my knowledge is also evolving, moving from lower order to slowly. Every day I read certain things. The various layers are opening up and I am going to higher knowledge. Ra is the jiva that is also moving. We have seen the Narayana journey of my lifetimes. Nara. Ya is called the yatnam. Again, efforts that we take. And na is the Deva Jnanam, Jnanam of the absolute Brahman. So, Narayana is what? Efforts made by human in his entire life for the Devata Jnanam. That is the higher truth. So beautifully decoded. Then Vratam he decodes. He says, Yajna is a totality of all actions. And Vrata is the different steps. That is a scheduled procedure. You are having a plan of action in place. That is called Vrata. Now we also discussed, in Vrata we'll have some do's and don'ts. This is how I want to proceed. One plan of action we have. That is called Vratam. And the goal of any yajna, why do we do yajnas in the Vedic culture, is to elevate yourself, to get higher thoughts. And Devata Bhavana, that is called yajna. The result of yajna is I have to get higher thoughts, Deva Bhavam, that is called Praja. Normally we say, Vashvavan, Prajavan, Pashuvan, Bhavati. Praja and Pashu, come everywhere in the Vedic chantings. In the Sanskrit language, Praja means children. So we are always decoding it like that. But in Vedic language, Praja means elevated thoughts, higher thoughts about Brahma Bhavana. That is called Praja. So See how the understanding changes immediately once we know these kind of things. Now, he says, he decodes Vratam here. He says, Vratam, first alphabet is Vak. Va. Vakaram is for Vak. Ra, Ra. Rakaram is for the individual Jiva. Earlier also we've seen that. Sakaram is the Pratishtha or the platform or the awareness. Vratam, Manas. So, Vratam means Jiva through the force of Vak, through the speech energy, strengthening or expanding his awareness. So, Namasmarana, when we do, what happens? Through my force of my Vak itself, or Japa, when we do, through the force, or when I practice the truth, what happens? Through my Vak itself, the force that Vak has got, I'm strengthening and I'm expanding my awareness. This is called Vratam according to Devarayana. Now, we have seen the Satyanarayana Vrata, we have decoded as per the Vedic language, insights given by Achyuta Devarayalu. Now, all the 4 stories also he decodes, but for the lack of time, I will just run through, very short, maybe a minute or two. He says in the first story, the Brahmin was poverty stricken, right? Achyuta Devaraya says, how can one be poverty stricken after learning Vedas? That means you did not understand. When somebody learns Vedas, how to work hard, how to make money, how to live your life, everything is prescribed in that. Because your understanding was not clear, you have been poverty stricken either at material level or mental level or knowledge level. Some block was there, Granthi, knot was there. In the trader story, Achyuta Devaraya says, they have achieved, the king and the trader have achieved something in the sphere, in the material sphere. But they are not able to go forward because both of them didn't have children. That means they do not have the Brahma Bhavana, higher ideals they do not have. He's just doing transactions, concentrating on the material well-being of of himself and the family. But higher order thoughts are not coming to him. And earlier, this thing Achyuta Devaraya said, the whole purpose of doing yajna is to get higher order Brahman thoughts. So that Brahma Bhavana is called Praja. Here it is symbolically represented in the story of the trader. He is not able to bear fruits with his efforts and knowledge. That means with all that he has got at his disposal, resources that he has, still he is not able to elevate himself to a higher thinking process that is called Praja, which is symbolically represented saying that he doesn't have children. Now, Achyuta Devaraya says that whenever you are negating anything in the outside world, whenever you are negating, we saw no, Chaitanya is, Chit is in me, Sat is outside. Whenever you are not inclusive of the Sat principle, the more and more Sattva has to be brought and put into your consciousness. That is the way of expanding your consciousness. The moment you fail to do that in any sphere, whether you're a Brahmin or you're a woodcutter or a trader or a king, wherever these granthis, these blocks are there, which are because of wrong understanding on false notions, all these things, when we approach the correct process of our life, align with the true goal of our life, all these knots are removed. Brahma Grandhi Vibhedini, Manipurantavita Vishnu Grandhi Vibhedini, Ajna Chakrantaralasta Rudra Grandhi Vibhedini. As we move higher in knowledge, each knot is opened up in us. And this is how he has decoded, and he says Vedas is for the Utpatti of Praja. Everywhere Praja comes in Vedas. What is this Praja? Is the elevated thought process. Brahma Bhavana is called Praja according to Devarayana. So beautiful way of understanding the Vedic language. And here he also says, because of the katha, because of listening to all the stories, we have, now all of us listen to all the stories. Each one has an understanding and a takeaway or a learning outcome from this session, right? For any session for that matter. So because of that katha, what I have to do because of learning Satyanarayana Vrata, I have to pick up a learning outcome. I have to take away something from this session, and that is called prasadam according to Devarayalu. So, unless you have taken the prasadam, you have taken the learning outcome, you have not, your session has not been useful. So, I leave you all to partake in the prasadam, and I leave you with more thoughts about Satyam and Satyavratam and Satyanarayana, and I conclude my talk here. Thank you so much.